Haven't followed up on anybody yet, they probably think it's about it.
All right? All right, we're done. Okay, now we can do a workshop.
How you doing? Look familiar. Well, you live here, I guess, so.
Yeah,
Richie Mitzner, how are you?
hi Richie.
Yeah.
You just look
Oh,
familiar. I ran for the school board the last 2 years.
Oh, sorry. Years ago I was involved.
Yeah.
You know, I think you look like a relative, that's all.
No,
I don't know one of my relatives. Didn't know I'd be looking like one of my relatives. You don't know.
Huh?
They're ready in there.
Okay, I'm not.
You're not. You all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you gonna hold it in here?
What, our meeting is across the
Across the
street
way,
at
right over
8
there.
o'clock.
Okay,
But the workshops now.
okay.
I never asked you guys how you're deciding, I don't know how you're deciding. As is my want. I may leave as to, I probably will leave, as to my feelings how I see this. And I'll ask for your comment. Because of the way I'm leaning on this, based on all the evidence that I looked at, I asked our esteemed council to prepare some resolutions regarding this. I'd like Ms. Ullman to give it out to the board members and have you read it. And if you have any questions, let me give you a few minutes to read it. And if you have any questions, issues, I mean, obviously, you raise them at the meeting too, and you can make any changes you want. If there's anything you want to discuss in the workshop, that would be, you know, might be useful or not. You can raise it anytime you want. The point out as I read this, sometimes I read this a little too quickly. Part of this is what the applicant said, not what necessarily we're saying. If you read the third whereas clause, it says the applicant appeared and testified. So it's not,
Right, you're summarizing the applicant's
right.
We do that in all the
argument.
resolutions.
We do that in all. And we summarize some of the testimony. Testimony is what it is. There might be some that we don't summarize. And at some point, depending on what the sense of this is, how it goes, or whatever, I might ask for a motion to approve this. And I will kind of read it into the record, somewhat in summary form. I don't know however precise it is, or not precise it is. But it's a serious matter. I thought it would be useful to not do it off the cuff. And, well, all matters are serious, but. Are you filming this?
Yes.
You could have told us.
I'm sorry. I walked in with it before.
That doesn't mean we know you're recording it.
I've recorded
that's a
just
lot of
about
concern.
every meeting since
That
2008.
doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'm
We
sorry.
see that.
If I fell short of a formality, my apologies.
More than a formality, not any common courtesy.
Well, so is it now going into executive session from a public meeting.
If you're done reading, I want to ask something.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the second page, near the bottom, where it resolved, point number 3. It was resolved findings of facts that no use listed in the use table for the LO zone is similar to or specifically identifies the landscape contractor use nor any activities related to that use. Does that mean that it doesn't identify the business by name?
No,
What does that mean?
the use,
The use is similar
the
to,
lan- the landscape contractor use.
doesn't necessarily have to identify it by name, as long as there's something similar to it, to those uses that are listed and they're on there.
In other words, that, the type of use that's referred to here is not similar to or compatible with any listed use identified in the LO zone.
But isn't that contradictory to now therefore be it resolved, point number 1, that landscape contractors
No,
are now
because-
permitted
Because,
conditional use?
that raises a good point. One relates to the change in the law. 2 relates to the
Yes.
yellow zone before it was changed.
Point 3 down here.
Yes.
So what we should
3.
do
What we should do
is add,
is that
um,
probably
that
should
no
be in
use
there.
listed in the, for the LO zone prior to. Okay,
Yeah, that's
Prior
right.
to
Yeah.
December 2009?
right, prior to December,
Good catch.
yep, thank you. 2009. Was similar to, no, this is,
No, it was.
was?
Nah, leave it as.
Yeah, I think it is.
Repeat that whole one? That whole statement?
That
Should
no
be.
use listed in the use table for the LO zone prior to December 2009 is similar to nor specifically identifies the landscape contractor use nor any activities related to that use. Does that make sense?
And I had a copy of the statute and I couldn't seem to find it. Do you have a copy of
The old or new?
the new, as it stands
Yes, I do.
today? You know,
Did
what's
everyone,
permitted in
does
the
everyone
zone?
recall the memo from county planning?
I'm sure it's in here somewhere. What did it say?
Okay, not memo, it's a letter.
I'll grab a copy. Excuse me.
Okay, just to encapsulate what they've written here, they say that the proposed use does not appear to be one of the permit uses in the LO zone, and that this landscaping contracted storage yard use is more of a general commercial or industrial use than those currently allowed in the village LO zone. So they recommend that it either rezone the property to PI or create another zone, another type of zone. Does the property in question, the 30 Suffer Lane, did that ever get final site approval?
Not relevant to this.
They,
But
they're
I
back
don't know the
before
answer.
the planning board, I think they revised their site plan,
It's not really
or
relevant
they're
to
in the
this.
process of.
We have to interpret this irrespective of any problem.
It's just this section 10 of this law.
Oh, okay.
It says, "This local law shall not apply to any properties that are
Yes,
subject
I
to
know that.
applications filed with Chestnut Ridge Point prior to December 2017, nor to any properties for which preliminary site plan approval was granted prior to December 17, 2009. Was their preliminary site plan approved prior to
No.
December 2009? It was not. Okay.
They have no approvals yet.
But the application was filed. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, anything else?
No, the-
Let's go. We actually can get there on time.
Always good.
Did Doris advise the board that they were grandfathered in?
No, you wanna ask him? Ask him, go ask him. Put it out there. It's still in there.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Put it out there?
Hey, V, how you doing?
Doris, did you advise them that they were
Doris, you need
grandfathered
a
in?
Hey, what?
You need a hand with anything?
Did you advise the board that they were grandfathered in?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't think you would.
It's
It's on videotape.
It's applicant.